I used to work as a night auditor at a small boutique hotel just outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was one of those older brick buildings that used to be a mental health facility in the 1940s before it got converted into a hotel in the 80s. The place had charm, sure, but it also had this air to it. Like something was always watching you, especially near the top floor. Like we had 5 floors. Room 404 was at the very end of the 4th. Oddly, it was never booked. Not online, not by walk-ins, never. And not because it was undergoing renovation or anything. It was in perfect shape. I'd asked my manager about it once and he just kind of laughed it off, like we just don't use that one. Bad vibes. Anyway, one night in early December, a bad snowstorm rolled in, like whiteout conditions. Around 2:15 a.m, this guy walks in. No luggage, thin coat, looked exhausted, said he was driving cross-country and got caught in the storm. We were fully booked, except, of course, for room 404. I hesitated. My gut was screaming, don't do it, but the guy looked like he might freeze to death if I turned him away. So against policy, I gave him the key to 404. He didn't say much, just gave this tired smile and went up. Now we had an old set of analog security monitors, one for each hallway. Room 404's door was in frame, but you could never really see anything clearly down there. It always had a weird static, almost like interference, but only that hallway. About 30 minutes after the guy checked in, I glanced at the monitor. His door was open. Not fully, just barely cracked, like someone had nudged it from inside. I called the room. No answer. I figured maybe he left to grab something from his car. But then something insane happened. About 10 seconds after I hung up the phone, the lobby phone rang. Caller ID said it was from room 404. I froze. I picked it up slowly and said, "Hello, sir?" Silence. But I could hear something on the other end. Breathing. And then a child's voice. Whispering, "I'm cold." That's all. Then it went dead. I rushed up there with the master key. The door to 404 was wide open now. The lights were off. No sign of the man. No clothes, no bags, just a made bed and a single handprint on the mirror, way too small to be his. We searched the entire hotel, reviewed the tapes. No record of him ever leaving the building. The scariest part? I tried pulling up the check-in record to show the cops, but there was nothing, not even a blank line. It was like I'd never entered it into the system at all. Room 404 got locked permanently after that night. This happened to my cousin Lisa back in 2016 when she was a freshman at a college in Oregon. It was one of those older liberal arts schools with a historic campus, old ivy-covered buildings, creaky wooden floors, and dorms that had seen generations of students come and go. Lisa got placed in Morrison Hall, a co-ed dorm known for being a little strange, mostly because it had this one floor, the 4th floor, that no one ever really wanted. It was quieter, sure, but too quiet, isolated, cold even during spring. Her assigned room? 404. The first weird thing happened the night she moved in. She was alone. Her roommate hadn't arrived yet. While unpacking, she heard a knock at the door. She opened it, and no one was there. This happened 3 more times that week, always around 3:04 a.m. She thought it was a prank, maybe by upperclassmen, but when she told her RA, the girl's face went pale. "You're in 404?" she asked. "They reopened that one?" Apparently, a few years back, a girl named Meredith lived in that room. She had been going through a really rough patch. Depression, breakup, failing grades. Her roommate came back from Thanksgiving break to find Meredith hanging by the neck from the closet rod, a sheet wrapped tight and her face blue. They sealed the room for a while after that, but with growing enrollment, they eventually reopened it. Lisa, of course, had no idea. Things escalated quickly after the second week. Every night around 3:04 a.m, her desk chair would slide out by itself, loud enough to wake her up. At first, she thought she was dreaming. Then she set up her phone to record it. Sure enough, around 3:04 a.m, the chair moved, slowly, deliberately. Then the closet door creaked open by itself. She moved her bed away from the closet after that, terrified. But that night she had the worst sleep paralysis of her life. She said it felt like someone climbed onto her chest. She could hear whispering right in her ear, but she couldn't understand the words except for one. Leave. She bolted to campus housing the next morning and demanded a room change. When the housing coordinator looked up her room number, she frowned. 404? That's weird, she said. That room doesn't exist on our active roster. We haven't assigned that one in years. Lisa pulled out her room key to prove it, but it was blank. No number, no logo, nothing. They let her move immediately. When she went back with an RA to grab her stuff, the door was locked from the inside. They had to break it open. And inside? The closet door was wide open. The chair was facing the closet. And on the mirror, written in what looked like lipstick, were 3 words, "Stay with me." This one happened to me personally in 2019. I was doing a solo road trip through Nevada, taking the long route through the desert towns between Vegas and Reno. I was documenting weird roadside attractions for a small YouTube channel I had at the time. On my second night, I found this old casino hotel just off the highway. Not flashy, no big lights, just a faded neon sign that buzzed more than it glowed. I walked into the lobby and the receptionist looked like she hadn't slept in days. I asked for a room and she said they were nearly full, except for one. Room 404. I literally laughed and asked, "You're kidding, right? Like the internet era?" She didn't laugh, just handed me the key and said, "It's at the end of the east wing. Try to stay in the room after dark." That was weird. The hallway to 404 felt wrong. The lighting was dimmer. The air was heavy. My room key was an actual metal key, not a card. When I got to the door, there were scratch marks near the handle, like someone had clawed at it in panic. Inside, the room was spotless, generic, beige walls, standard double bed. But the moment I closed the door, I felt this static pressure in the room, like being underwater. I chalked it up to exhaustion, unpacked and tried to sleep. At exactly 4:04 a.m., I woke up. I didn't know why, but my ears were ringing. The room felt colder, and then I saw it. My laptop, which I had left closed in my backpack, was open on the desk. On the screen was a Word document that I hadn't created. The title read, "You Were Never Here." And below it, typed over and over, row after row, 404, 40404. Then the screen glitched, like full-on static, like an old analog TV. And I swear, just for a split second, I saw myself on the screen. But not how I looked now, paler, eyes sunken, like I'd been there for weeks. I slammed the laptop shut and ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. The handle turned, but the door wouldn't budge, like it was welded shut. Then the lights flickered. The mirror across the room cracked on its own, and I heard a voice behind me, my own voice, whispering, "Why'd you come back?" I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in my car in the parking lot, engine running. All my bags were in the back seat. My phone said it was 6:20 a.m. I ran back inside to the front desk. A different receptionist was there, young guy. I asked him what happened to the woman from last night. He looked confused and said, "Ma'am, we haven't had a woman on night shift in over a year." I asked him to check what room I stayed in. He looked at me, brows furrowed. We don't have a room 404, never did." I begged him to check the records. He finally humored me, looked up my ID and nothing. No transaction, no booking, no history of me ever staying there. To this day, I don't know what happened in that room. But I do know this. I left that laptop behind. And about a week later, I got an email from an unknown address. No subject, no message, just an attachment, a photo of me, sitting in room 404. Stay only. I don't remember the photo being taken. And in the reflection, there were 2 of me.